If you want to understand the biggest environmental threat that nobody's talking about, this video is going to blow your mind. I'm about to show you how every single time you use ChatGPT, generate an image, or ask Claude for help with your homework, you're contributing to a climate crisis that's about to hit your wallet harder than you think. By the way, I'm Craig Hewitt. I've spent the last few weeks diving deep into AI's environmental impact, reading hundreds of pages of research reports, and talking to energy experts. And what I've discovered is going to change how you think about AI forever. See, here's what's happening right now. Every time you type a simple question into ChatGPT, you're using 23 times more energy than a regular Google search. And for complex requests, try 210 times more. But here's the kicker. That innocent little AI query you just made is contributing to electricity bills rising 25% in some areas. And really, that's just the beginning. But how do we balance this data with the fact that AI is hugely positive and a transformational force for many businesses, industries, healthcare, and even finance? It's improving many of our lives at a pace none of us can really comprehend, and I believe it's a massive force of good in the world. Well, today I'm going to break down the environmental hidden cost of AI and using real numbers, real data, and real consequences that are happening right now in our lives and in our world. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why we need to think about having a balanced, sustainable approach to AI into the future. Now, let me start with the number that ought to shock you. Right now, as I'm speaking, data centers are consuming 4.4% of all electricity in the United States. That's more than entire countries use, more than all electric vehicles combined. And it's about to get a lot worse. Okay, now I want you to imagine something. You're at a restaurant, you order up simple salad maybe. But what you don't know is that making that salad requires the restaurant to fire up a massive industrial oven, run it for 10 minutes, and then throw away 90% of the heat. That's essentially what's happening every time you use AI. When you generate an image, something that takes you 30 seconds, you're using the same amount of energy as fully charging your smartphone. So just think about it. A 30-second task uses the same energy as charging your phone, the thing you use all day, every day, if you're like me, from 0 to 100. But this is the real crazy part for me. Processing 1 million AI tokens is about $1 worth of compute time and is like a really big prompt with a bunch of context. Produces the same carbon emissions as driving a gas car between 5 and 20 miles. ChatGPT is the 5th most visited website in the world, just ahead of Twitter and just behind Instagram. So let's do some quick math. ChatGPT has 100 million daily users, and each user makes 5 queries per day, which is probably a huge understatement. That's 500 million queries a day. Multiply that by the energy cost per query, and you start to see what we're getting at, right? The truth is, every time you hit enter on an AI prompt, you're essentially turning on a small power plant for a few seconds. And when you multiply that by billions of users worldwide, you get an energy consumption problem that's growing faster than our ability to solve it, I think. Hey, so I want to pause here and say I am a huge AI fan. And I'm a firm believer that this technology will change almost everything about our lives in the next few years. And I'm doing this 100 Days of AI challenge and dedicating most of my waking hours to understanding and embracing this technology. But look, there's two sides to every coin, and I want to shed some light on what the impact of this is on the environment. Because I live here on this big, beautiful planet too, and I want to protect it. Okay? But okay, back to the story now. Here is where this gets kind of really wild. The tech companies aren't just building AI systems, they're in an absolute arms race to build the biggest, most power-hungry facilities maybe the world has ever seen. So picture this, like you're in a neighborhood and everybody's trying to outdo each other with their Christmas lights. You've never seen this, I'm sure, right? The first, one house puts up a few strings, then the neighbor adds 1,000 more. Before you know it, the entire block is blazing so bright it can be seen from the space station. And everybody's electricity bill has tripled. That's what's happening right now with AI and data centers. You see, OpenAI announced earlier this year something called Project Stargate, a plan to spend $500 billion building AI facilities across the country. That's 5 times the cost of putting a man on the moon, adjusted for inflation. And they're not alone. Amazon is planning to quadruple their data center capacity from 3 gigawatts to 12 gigawatts. That's like adding the electricity needs of entire states to the grid. Google, Microsoft, Meta, all doing the same thing. And here's what this looks like in practice. Oracle just committed adding 4.5 gigawatts of new capacity. That's enough electricity to power the entire city of Chicago. And they're planning to pack it in with 2 million AI chips, all running 24/7. But here's the kicker. These facilities take up to 7 years to build properly. But because everyone's in such a race to beat the competition, their competitors, they're cutting corners on energy efficiency just to get online faster. It's like if a car manufacturer just were so focused on being first to market that they stopped caring about fuel efficiency entirely. Except in this case, you're the one paying for gas. Okay, so now here, this is where it hits your wallet directly. And this is happening right now, right? This is not some distant future. In Ohio, households are already paying at least $15 more per month because of data centers. Virginia residents could see their bills increase by 25%. Nationwide, we're looking at an average of 8% by 2030. But here's what's really interesting that nobody's talking about. Tech companies are building these massive energy-hungry facilities, and utility companies are passing that infrastructure cost on to you. You're essentially subsidizing the AI revolution through your electric bill. Let me just explain how this works. So Amazon wants to build a new data center. They go to local utility and they say, hey, we need 5 gigawatts of power. And the utility company says, cool, okay, we need to build a new power plant and upgrade the grid. Amazon says, great, we'll pay for the electricity. You figure out the infrastructure. So what does the utility company do? They build new power plants, upgrade lines, and then spread that cost across all of their customer base. That's you, and that's me. We're paying for Amazon's new data center infrastructure through higher electricity rates. By 2035, data centers will consume 8.6% of all US electricity, more than double what they're using today. That means AI alone could be using as much as 22% of all electricity in American households. And if you live in Virginia, Texas, or Ohio, you're in the bullseye. This is where the big data centers are. These are the states where most of these data centers are being built, which means you're going to see the biggest bill increase. Now, if higher electricity bills weren't bad enough, there's an environmental crisis brewing that's even worse. Goldman Sachs estimated that data centers' CO2 emissions could be more than double between 2022 and 2030. And here's the problem. Because we're building these centers so fast, most of them are being powered by fossil fuels, not renewable energy. The carbon intensity of electricity used by data centers is 48% higher than the US average. So not only are they using more electricity, they're using dirtier electricity. But, and I'm really sorry, it just gets worse. Large data centers use up to 5 million gallons of water per day for cooling. That's equivalent to a town of 50,000 people. And they're often built in areas where water is already scarce. Now, before you get completely depressed, there are solutions, and some of them are working today. MIT researchers have shown you can reduce AI energy consumption by 10 to 20% with some relatively simple changes. So here's what works. Power capping. Instead of letting processors run at 100%, you limit them to 60 or 80% of capacity. And this reduces energy consumption and actually makes the systems run cooler, so less water. Smart training. Instead of training thousands of AI models to completion, you can predict accuracy after just 20% of computation and stop the bad ones early. Carbon-aware software. This automatically shifts AI workloads to times when the electric grid is running on cleaner energy, like when there's a lot of solar or wind power available. And even MIT built a tool called Clover that reduces carbon intensity by 80 to 90%. You see, these are not just theoretical ideas, they're solutions that are working right now and are available. But here's the problem. These solutions require these big tech companies, again, whose products I use and love all day, every day, to voluntarily reduce their performance for environmental benefit. And right now, the competitive pressure in the AI world is just so massive that it's pushing people in the opposite direction. So if Google decides it's going to make Gemini 20% more energy efficient, but 5% slower, and Microsoft or OpenAI don't, then Microsoft or OpenAI have a competitive advantage. So it's kind of this prisoner's dilemma scenario where everyone knows what the right thing to do is, but nobody wants to do it in the first place. So, what does this mean for you and me? First, I think we need to understand that every AI query that we do has a real environmental cost and impact. I'm not saying to stop using AI. I'm not planning on stopping it. That ship has already sailed. It's in our lives and it's going to get more and more over time. But maybe we think twice before asking ChatGPT to write our grocery list or generate a funny meme for your Instagram story. Second, maybe pay attention to your electric bills over the next few years. If you see a significant increase in data centers are probably the reason, and maybe reach out to your local authorities about it. Related, third, let's ask our representatives about data center regulations in your area. A lot of these facilities are being approved with very little public input, even though they're going to affect your electric costs and the environment around you. And finally, demand that companies building these systems take responsibility. When you use their products, you have a voice. Let's use it. The AI revolution is 100% happening, and I'm full steam behind it. I'm just asking for balance. We have a choice about how it happens. And right now, that choice is being made for us, one electric bill at a time. So, if this has opened up your eyes to something you maybe didn't know before, hit the like button, subscribe for more about AI here on the channel. And if you want to get ahead in the AI world, because 100% this is coming for all of our lives and all of our jobs, and you can either be a victim or you can embrace it and get on the train. I've created a free 30-day email course that explains a lot of the methods and the systems and the processes I use all day, every day in my life, and you can too, to be more productive, to be happier, and to use AI to further yourself, your life, your business, and your time at work. Link is in the description below. And share this with a friend. I think this is a message that a lot of folks need to hear. Use the share button below to share this with a friend who you think could enjoy and benefit from hearing this message too. I'm Craig Hewitt. This is 100 Days of AI. We'll see you tomorrow.